Well, happy holidays. For those of you that don't know me, I'm David Stockwell, the Medical Center Director here at VA Northern California Healthcare System. And, every year I want to take a moment to just stop during the hectic pace of the holiday season. Whichever holiday you celebrate or whatever, it can be a joyous time of year. It can be a stressful time of year. And, this year as I was thinking about, what are we super excited about working here at the VA and as our place of employment. And, I thought back to what all has 2025, had in store for us. And it has been a pretty challenging year as a federal employee. There's been a lot of tumultuous things that have been occurring, whether it's the, return to office or the fork in the road, or reorganization of the department, or unsure about whether our retirement benefits legislatively are going to change or not. There's been just lots and lots of things that have been potential detractors, concerns, worry as we've gone through 2025. And I thought, all right, so if I'm going to talk about a happy and joyful and festive, at the end of the year, what are the things that, we can look back on or look forward to or enjoy during this holiday season? And, I think we have a lot that we can be excited about here at VA Northern California. We had our Joint Commission survey this year. We did better than we've done in either of the last two triennial surveys. We got an excellent grade from the Joint Commission in terms of meeting quality standards in terms of care for patients. We significantly statistically improved our SAIL outcomes, and those are the quality measures that the VA uses to say, are you providing the right health care to your patients? Our CMS star rating, the 4 and 5 star facilities, were in that batch. And so when you compare us to outside healthcare systems outside the VA, we score at the top of the list in terms of our comparator star ratings. This year has been an adventure, but we've added Close to Me cancer care up in Redding and in Stockton. So we've doubled the numbers of locations that we've got Close to Me cancer care. We started our bedside dialysis in our nursing home, and today we've got 3 patients that are not having to travel multiple times a week out of their nursing home location, but right at their bedside they can get their hemodialysis completed by our staff. We completed our very first PCI cardiology cases in our cath lab here at Mather this year. We opened the new Primary Care Annex Addition building. We opened the new Med Specialties building here. We have expanded dramatically our care in Stockton, which is now the second largest CBOC in all of VISN 21. And we've done that in the midst of all of these changes and challenges across the system. Kind of reminds me of a number of years ago when I was 19 years old. So this was a lot of years ago now. I was traveling through the jungles of Bolivia. And, we went to this little village that you couldn't get to by car. There were no roads into this village. You had to hike in. We actually had to use machetes to get through the thick bush and whatnot. And we stayed for a week in this little village in Bolivia. And as a 19-year-old, I remember, meeting the folks that were there. And by the way, we had the same meal every time we had a meal for the entire week. It was duck soup. That's the only meal they had. So there wasn't go to the grocery store and decide, what kind of meal am I going to have, or what am I hungry for today, or, I've got a hankering for this kind of a snack. There was nothing else on the menu. That's what you had to eat. The infant mortality rate in this village was above 40%. So when you would meet a mother and you say, how many children do you have? She would say, well, I have 5, but I had 8 and I lost 3 of them, in their first year of life. And to think of infant mortality rate that's in the 40% is unheard of in our first world USA population. I would ask them if they were young people like I was at the time, what do you want to do when you grow up? And again, not even a question on the radar. They were a farmer, like their dad was a farmer, and their mom, and like their grandparents and their great-grandparents. They had no sense of, I'm going to choose to do something different. I have a vocation option in life. It was set for them already. And if you tried to ask them about, have you traveled, have you seen anywhere, have you been anywhere, they hadn't been, they didn't know a different world. And so I would have thought to myself, these people don't have a lot to be grateful for. They've got, brutal healthcare conditions. They've got no food and variety options. They've got no career path options. They're stuck in this little village for their whole life. And yet, that was the happiest group of people. They would gather around their little campfire that they would make at night, and the whole village would come together. They would sing songs, they would laugh, they would interact with each other. It was an incredibly joyful group. Now, I took you back memory lane with my time there in the jungles of Bolivia, just to think, okay, we've had a rough year. Sometimes difficult times bring you together. And so to see our workforce and to look around the healthcare system as we've had to lock arms during times where we weren't sure about our job future, or hey, there's fewer of us and so we're going to focus in and get the work done. And the organization has rallied. We found a way to be inspired and to get work done. We provided more care to more veterans in 2025 than we ever have before in the history of our healthcare system. And that's in the midst of all of our challenges. And I know we didn't do an all-employee survey this year, and if we got formal questions as federal employees with all that happened, the scores probably wouldn't have been that high. But I'm actually not so sure if people really think about, am I enjoying my work experience? Am I counting on my coworkers? Do I have a lot to celebrate? So I think we do this holiday season. So I'm grateful for the veterans that we get to provide care to. If I think back to what it's like in other countries in my story, and the liberties and the freedoms and the opportunities that we have in our great country, it's great to be able to serve those that have served and fought for our freedom. So it's a privilege to come to work here at the VA every day. We've rallied in the tough times with our coworkers and through this year and found a way to be victorious, and hopefully it's bonded us a little bit closer together in the process. So as you enjoy with your families this holiday season and you hopefully have a potluck, we're allowed to do those, another thing to be grateful for post-pandemic with your coworkers. I just hope you find time to take a moment and say, what is it that we can be thankful for, joyful about during the holiday season. So I wish you all well. I look forward to working with you moving forward, and happy holidays to each and every one of you.